What's good, YouTube? So guys, it's been just about 2.5 months since I bought this car. This is my 2015 Dodge Challenger Hellcat. Those of you who are new to the channel, welcome. But those of you who are familiar with the channel probably know that my journey of getting this car here began a number of months ago, back towards the end of 2017, when I decided that I was going to go on a hunt for a used Hellcat. I had all sorts of expectations. Some of them turned out to be true, some of them did not. And so the purpose of this video here is to share with you all something I've been promising to do for some weeks now, pretty much ever since I got the car, which is to share with you all what were my top takeaways from my experience of buying a Challenger Hellcat. So guys, let's go ahead and get right into it. Now forgive me for the car here. It is a little dirty. I haven't washed it in about 5 days or so. We've been getting some rain showers in, and it's supposed to rain pretty much all week. So though it's gorgeous right now, it's not going to last. So, you know, we're going to have to deal with a less than perfect looking Hellcat here. But anyway, guys, after owning the car now for, again, close to 3 months, you know, I've had a lot of time to reflect on what my experience was like, not just buying the car here that I wound up selecting, but just the whole experience. And for those of you who may not be familiar with the channel or familiar with what I'm talking about here, with my hunt for buying a Hellcat back some months ago, back in November, December of 2017, I noticed something that I'm sure a lot of you noticed as well, and that was that the pricing for used Challenger Hellcats was dropping substantially. Okay, prior to that, it was very rare to see a used Hellcat, either a Charger or a Challenger, going for anything less than, say, mid-50s. And then all of a sudden we started seeing them low 50s, 50s, and even in the 47, 48 range, even some mid-40s were popping up. And it seemed to happen overnight. And there were a number of reasons why that happened. Mainly it had to do, I think, with a combination of three major things. That was, number one, the overproduction of the Challenger Hellcat in particular. During the years 2015, 16, and 17, Dodge managed to produce more than 22,000 of these things, okay? That's substantially more than the Charger Hellcat. It's a lot more than other trims, including the SRT 392. So you have a lot of Challenger Hellcats, right? A real hyped up car, but you've really, you know, arguably could say that they overproduced the hell out of them. On top of that, you had the introduction of the Dodge Demon, okay? Now, obviously, prior to that, the Hellcat had its 15 minutes of fame after they announced that the Viper was going out of production and that the Hellcat was going to be the new Halo car. Hellcat owners all over were really excited about that, but then here comes the Dodge Demon, and of course it's putting out 840 horses on race gas and so on and so forth. To add insult to injury, of course, FCA also announces that they're introducing a newer, better Hellcat, the wide body edition. And of course, adding those enhancements to that new version of the car meant that this one was going to be number 3 in the lineup. So kind of overnight it went from number 1 to number 3. You combine that with the fact that they really overproduced these cars, and then add on to that the fact that they're just getting older. I mean, this is 2015, these things roll out. You've got a number of them that are coming off of lease, and again, you know, all these things combined kind of made for a situation where, you know, you could all of a sudden get a car that was going for new just a couple of years before, marked up close to $100,000. Now you're able to get it for less than half of that, you know, used with, you know, reasonable miles, you know, 25, 30,000 miles on them and so forth. So one of the things that I realized was that, or that I predicted, should I say, was that that I thought it was going to be very likely that by the time the end of 2018 rolled around, that you and I would be able to go out or go on to Car Gurus or go on to Auto Trader, look up a used Challenger Hellcat and have your choice of a number of them selling for under $40,000. And I have to say, guys, that I felt really strongly about that just because the way we saw prices cascading. So what winds up happening is my number one takeaway here, guys, which is that prices actually wound up leveling off much quicker than I realized. And there are a few reasons for that, and I think the top reason, though, is actually pretty simple, and I'm surprised I didn't think about it ahead of time. That reason is this. You know, each of these Challenger trims has a certain price point, right? A certain type of buyer and a certain type of is a certain type of product. There's a big difference between an RT Challenger, an RT Scat Pack, and say a Hellcat, different buyers and so forth. Well, as the Hellcat prices were coming down, they kind of ran into the next trim right underneath it, and that was the SRT 392. And as I said a moment ago, the price point, they didn't make a lot of the 392s compared to, again, with more than 22,000 of the Challenger Hellcats. That's a substantial difference. And part of that difference meant that the SRT 392 actually retained its value, its resale value as a used car, a bit better than some of the other trims, better than the Hellcat, and certainly better than cars like the RT Scat Pack, which they really made a lot of. So kind of what happened is you had the used prices for the Hellcats coming down, and they sort of slammed into that buffer zone that was created by the used market for the SRT 392, because basically it works the way it works is this: if you have, say, a 2016 SRT 392 at 20,000 miles, and you have the same year, the same number of miles for a Challenger Hellcat, well, they're not going to be going for the same price, right? And if the SRT 392 is holding its value pretty well, let's say, $38,000 or so, well, a Challenger Hellcat, which has a lot more to offer in terms of the power and performance and prestige and all that, is going to have to be substantially more than that. I mean, maybe not a lot more than that, but it's certainly not going to be only, $1,000 or $2,000 or $3,000 more than that SRT 392. Just the way that market works, I mean, it's considerably a better, more of a better car, and that means that the price is going to have to reflect that. And what that meant as far as the Hellcat goes is that, once you hit around 45,000 miles or $45,000, you start really getting into SRT 392 territory, and that really slowed down that de-escalation of prices. So I realized this, I'd say, in the springtime of this past year, and though my original plans were to wait until later on in the year before pulling a trigger on buying a Hellcat, I realized what was going on. I realized that, what, man, chances are the prices of these cars aren't going to drop down that much more. And on top of that, another thing happened, which was that the interest rates were going up. So at this point right now, July 2018, interest rates have gone up twice this year. They're expected to go up at least another 1 or 2 times again this year. And of course, when interest rates go up, it means it's more expensive for you to borrow money. It means that your car is going to be more expensive. You can't afford as much car now as you could, say, 6 months ago because of the interest rates. So I realized that, hey man, prices aren't going to be dropping down that much, and interest rates are only going to be going up. That means the longer I wait, that's probably not going to benefit me. So I got to do what I got to do. If I find the car that I want, that I'm happy with, and if it's a price that I can afford and I'm willing to pay, well, then I'm gonna go ahead and pull the trigger. And so again, that was the first number one takeaway from me, for me. And again, I stood corrected on this because I was not expecting this, which was that prices would level off with the used Challenger Hellcats. Okay guys, another thing that was a major takeaway for me is this very simple fact. When it comes to pricing vehicles and trade-in and interest rates and all these types of things, things have a way of balancing out. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You're not going to get your dream car, the perfect deal on a perfect car that's got absolutely nothing wrong with it at a rock bottom price. It just simply doesn't work that way. If you go in to a dealership and you see there's a great car that's being offered there for a good price and you're trading in a vehicle, don't be too surprised if they offer you peanuts for your car. The simple fact is this: they're offering an advertised price that may be a rock bottom price. They're trying to get you in the door. They're going to try and make up for that in other ways, okay? They're going to try to cheat you, or not cheat you, but give you a really low figure for your trade-in. They're going to try to squeeze you on the financing. They're going to do their best to try to sell you some type of maintenance package or gap insurance package or whatever it might be for your car to try and make up for those things. Because of course dealerships sell a lot more than just cars. They sell all sorts of products there. So things have a way of balancing out, and just because you see a car, a vehicle of some kind that's advertised for a certain price, if you're going in there, especially with a trade-in or with a need for financing or something, you better believe that the dealership is going to do their best to try and make up for that low price that they're offering you. And that's actually a perfect segue into the next major takeaway, and that is this. These ads that you're seeing out there advertised, for the most part, they are rock bottom prices. Now guys, I don't know how long it's been since you bought a car, but I have to tell you, in the last handful of years, things have changed quite a bit. Now, dealers obviously set the prices for the vehicles that they sell that are on their lot, right? But oftentimes they don't do it alone. Oftentimes dealerships, especially some of your large dealerships, are using computer programs that basically analyze what are the prices for comparable vehicles being sold in that region's market. And therefore you may, and that helps them to determine what price they should set the car at. Now, what that means for you and I, the consumer, is this. You can log on to Car Gurus or cars.com or whatever, and you look and you see a vehicle, say, listed for $45,000, right? A week later, you go on, you see the exact same car, and it's listed for $45,700. Why the sudden jump for $700? The car's been sitting there longer. You'd be thinking that maybe they would drop the price, not raise it. Well, one of the reasons is because they've got this analysis being done of what's going on in the local market, and their computer there is telling them, you know what, you want to raise the price a little bit here, just based upon these other variables that are affecting prices in the region. And what that means for us, the consumer, again, is not only the prices that we're seeing online can change, but it also means that the prices that are advertised online aren't necessarily the prices that leave a lot of room for negotiation. And by that I mean this, guys. You know, it used to be a time, in fact, when I bought my last green Challenger, which was an SRT 392, a 2011, and you can watch my video I've got online, me telling the story about how I bought that car. That car originally, you know, they were offering a certain price for it to me. It was about $34,000 that they were offering it to me. I wound up getting it for $30,400. I was able to talk them down about $3,500, right? Now, that 5 years ago or 4 years ago, whatever it was, you know, was a different world because of compared to what's going on right now. Because if you think you can go into a dealership and just talk them down, you know, over the course of a couple of hours, talk them down, you know, $3,000 or $4,000 off the asking price, man, if that happens, it's a very, very rare occurrence, because the prices that are being advertised online right now are typically very close to being rock bottom prices. In other words, they don't leave you a lot of room for negotiation. So this car in particular, you know, they offered a price. It was actually a pretty fair price for it. I wanted to get a better price. I was pretty confident that I could talk them down about $2 grand from their asking price. I wasn't able to do that. I was able to talk to them about $800. On the other hand, though, I was able to get a couple grand more for my trade-in than what they originally offered me. So in my mind, I thought, you know what, this is a fair deal for sure. But I'll tell you what, my expectations being very aggressive at first, me thinking that, you know what, no problem, I've done this before, you're going to be able to do this, knock off a few grand, no problem, or even a couple of grand for this car, didn't work out that way, guys. And again, that's just because the way cars are marketed now. They're offering low prices online. They want you to come in the door, and they're pretty much what they're doing is, and they'll come right out and tell you this, that they're offering you the discounted price up front. Okay, they're already telling you this price has been discounted. So that is a pretty substantial change from the way it was even a few years ago. I mean, you've always seen ads in newspapers and things like that, but it's really accelerated with the way you know, people are searching for cars now using apps and using many of these car search engines like Car Gurus and cars.com and Auto Trader and so on and so forth. Next is you get what you pay for. Now, I know this is a pretty ironclad law when it comes to a lot of things, you know, that you see in the economy. I think it's especially true for cars. Everybody wants to get a great deal, right? Everybody wants to get exactly what they want in perfect condition, absolutely nothing wrong with it, for the lowest possible price. They want dealerships to give them the car practically, okay? They want to get it for invoice or less than invoice if it's a new car. They want to get it for if it's a used car, they want to get it for the price that they paid the original owner of the car. Obviously, that's not going to happen. We all, you know, we expect that dealers are going to make money, and we allow them that, or at least you should allow them to be able to do that within reason. That being said, guys, when you look and you see a car online that sounds too good to be true, you got to think about this. you got to think of, you got to use your head, and you got to think, why are they advertising this car that everybody else is saying is maybe $50,000, but they're offering this one for $44,000? You look, maybe it's the same year, maybe it's the same number of mileage, maybe you know, it's the same color, same options, and so forth, and you're saying, hey, well, this is a great deal, this is the one I'm going to go for. Not so fast. Guys, in the last 6 months, I tell you, I looked at a lot of Hellcats, I talked to a lot of dealers, sat down with several of them, you know, went over the figures, talked turkey, and also got a really close look at the cars that they were selling. And I'll tell you, man, every one of them was different, none of them was perfect, and the ones that had really low prices, there were some serious things wrong with them, right? There was one I was looking at, I went to go look at it, they told me as I arrived there, no, we're actually sending this one back, there was an issue with the car. A week later, they put it back online. I go to talk to the people about it, and they say, yeah, well, the car wasn't in an accident, but the alignment was totally off. They had to replace the cradle underneath the car, okay? Another car I went to look at, everything looked great online. I go and I check it out. Thing's got paint, rock chips all over it. It's got touch-up paint all over the bumper. The paint was absolutely in horrible condition. There was no way I could justify trading in my beautiful SRT 392 with the tan Laguna interior and all that, right, for some car that just did not look good, man. I didn't care that it was a Hellcat. The thing looked like crap. I was not about to trade in my beautiful car for something that looked so bad, and it was reflected right there in the pricing. So you got to be real careful, guys. When you see dealerships that are offering a really low price for the car, you want to just use your head. You want to, you know, when you go, you want to take a real critical look at the car when you are going over it. You want to pay very close mind to the dealership. You know, take a look online, take a look at the reviews that people are leaving for them. The most of the cars that I saw that were being offered for really, you know, rock bottom prices, man, some of these dealerships are so shady. You know what I'm talking about? Like, you know, bad credit is good here, you know, mark, you know, signs up on the up in front of the dealership. Like the type of place you don't want to go to, man. The type of place you know they are just waiting to rip you off. So you get what you pay for. And last but certainly not least, guys, is this. You absolutely need to make sure that before you go into any dealership to buy a car, to even talk to them about buying a car, that you've already spoken to your bank or your credit union to find out what you qualify for in terms of a car loan. Now, I've shared this information before in previous videos, and I'm leaving it for the last major takeaway on this video here because it is so important. Guys, before I went in to check out this car, I went ahead and I called my credit union. I told them, here's what I'm interested in buying, here's the VIN number, here's what I'd be trading in, here's what I'm guessing the total cost of the vehicle is going to be that I'd be financing. I got a direct quote from them right then and there. Few months before that, when I was looking seriously, I had spoken not only to my bank but also to some others in the area too, just to see what the rates really were like. As it turned out, my credit union was the lowest one, the most competitive one in the area. So this time around, I went right ahead with them. So this was really, really important, guys. When I went into the dealership, and we really were getting down to specifics with the numbers, I told them, you know, most of the time when I'm negotiating, I'm always thinking about what is the total cost of the vehicle. I'm not really concerned about the monthly payment. Now, the monthly payment is important. It may be very important to you with your budget, but you don't want to ever lead with that, okay? The dealers know that. They want to appeal to that. They know that, you know, just by simply turning, say, a 60-month loan into a 72-month loan or an 84-month loan, they can lower your monthly payment quite a bit. However, they can keep the overall price of the vehicle very high. And they can do that by dealing with their own financing, their own bank in their own way, and they get a little cut of that. The best thing that you can do is to line up your own financing with your own bank or your credit union ahead of time. So when I came down to getting really specific about the numbers here, I told them, hey, okay, in terms of monthly payment, here's where I would need to be. I need this kind of loan at this kind of interest rate. This is what my payment would be. They came right out and they told me, sir, there's no way we're going to be able to do that. There's no bank that's going to offer you that. They'll offer you at least minimum 1 full point higher. I said, really? My bank, my credit union happened to approve me for that. The next day I came in, I had the documentation, and they said, well, I guess so. Let's just say, guys, that, well, I wound up going with my own credit union at the end of the day because they couldn't fully match it, but it worked out in my favor, because had I just believed them and gone with what they had told me about what my true financing options were through them, it would have been a full point higher of an interest rate on this, and I would not have bought the car. It would have been too much. It would have been more in terms of overall cost. It would have been a bigger monthly payment that I wanted to have, or that I'd be able to justify to my wife. I would have walked away from it very disappointed. The fact that I did my own homework ahead of time paid off, and that's the reason why I have this car right here now. So guys, make sure you do that. I know it's real hard. It's really easy to get tempted. If you have those moments, man, take a time out. Step back. Get on the phone with your bank or your credit union. Even better, go down there to the branch if you've got one. Talk to them. Tell you what you want to do. They'll work with you, and believe me, it will wind up saving you money. And at the very, very least, you have a lot of leverage in your pocket because you're an educated consumer and you know for a fact what you qualify for. A lot of time, these dealers, they'll start talking to you about financing. They'll start talking to you about what your monthly payment's going to be before they even run your credit, okay? So they're offering you maybe some type of payment plan that is for somebody who's got, awful credit. Meanwhile, if you've got really good credit, you're getting ripped off by going with them. You may not know what you qualify for. So again, make sure you take that step and do that. And it will, I'm guaranteeing you, at the very least, you'll feel much more confident when you go in there negotiating, and chances are you're going to wind up saving yourself some money. All right, guys, so that's a wrap here. Again, I hope you're all doing well. I'm going to be doing a bunch more videos here with, as my shadow's in the way, with the Hellcat here, man. Now I'm out here sweating like a pig. It's a great day. I am truly enjoying it. But I'm planning on doing a lot more video footage. I've just been tied up with some things lately, and looking for some interesting ideas, some road trips and such, where we can show you, just how we're enjoying the car here. I've had the car going again, close to 3 months, and I have to tell you, I'm enjoying it, man. It's a lot of fun. I look at all the Challengers that I've had. I've had 5 in 5 years, starting with an SXT and working my way up to a Hellcat. Every one of them has been different. I've enjoyed and loved each one of them in their own way. This one obviously is very special, not only for the power, man, but also just for that Mopar, just heritage color, man. The sublime green, it's just so classic Mopar, man. I love it. It's special, and it's great to be able to share it with people and to just to have fun, man. A lot of times I'll just, I'll walk out of I'll be at a gas station, or I'll walk out of the supermarket, and there's somebody there, looking at the car and wanting to talk to me about it and stuff. And, we start talking about gear. We start talking about just, the old muscle car days and what we like about these things and all that and stuff, man. And there's something really, really special about the Challengers that none of the other muscle car or pony cars have, that the Camaros don't have, that the Mustangs don't have, and especially when you have, a true heritage Mopar color like sublime green. So anyway, enjoying it every day, day by day. Guys, thanks a lot for watching. As always, until next time, later.